and then I was naturally a good dancer from a young age. So I'm one of those who discovered dance. You, you, you know how like somebody can know how to dance by four, it can make sense. Me, my dance had always made sense
Oh,
since I
wow.
was very young. And I'm saying it to really note because you could tell somebody can have potential, but it's hard for a 4 or 3-year-old to really bring the feet and have a precision. For
Mhm.
me, it was, dancing was always a
Natural.
language.
Yeah.
So I saw us, in my family, we have traditional music. All the best drummers used to come and play there. So these are
Yeah.
things you learn, you picked up along the way. Find me
But
on the
you
one. If you get lost, just find me on that one. Like you can find me on the one too. So we can find each other on the one. So with the Cuban, they have in the one, but they kept the syncopated part of their African tradition. In America, that disappeared a little because of how they were oppressed, right? So the same katu from Africa is still in Cuba. Cat. The same thing in America had to disappear a little more. Cat, one, cat. So it's actually Rumbian funk is telling a story of a trajectory of the black people or the
that's
people
it.
of
To
African
the
descent
music.
in,
Yeah.
in the fullness. Because now, me, the Rumbian funk is interesting because I see how the rumba part keeps the 6A. Like you can hear the tradition. The funk part gives that modern pop. But then between the two and the African Congolese tradition, you are able to make a music that sounds like infinity.
Yeah, hope in many
Hope in
phases.
phases.
In phases.
Hope
Yeah.
in phases.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a song I wrote in 2009
Mm.
because a friend was going through a depression. He came where I was living. He told me, he said, "Bro, I was about to jump off the broken bridge."
Oh, hello, everyone. Welcome back. Before we start, I don't think you guys realize we've been doing this for 6 months.
Oh.
I just realized that I was like about September. Oh my goodness. So
Wow.
kudos to us, and thank you to all of us that's keeping us going, watching, commenting, and sharing. So we're very excited. And tonight it's another treat. So a couple of weeks ago, you met Pastor John, and there's a third person to our friendship is right here, Nkumu Katalay. He's another one that I've been trying to get on for like since the beginning. So I'm excited that he's here. We all know each other for a long time. So actually, my mom and my sister introduced them to me. The first time I came to the US, I was kind of bored. I was young. And they were like, oh, we know these two guys. They're very nice. They're about your age and stuff. And we've been friends since then. So welcome and thank you for being here.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes.
So
It's an honor.
yeah, thank you. So basically, we want to hear all about your coming to America story. How was it when you got here? We want to hear about RumbianFunk. How did that get started? And we want to hear a little bit of where you at now in your life towards the end. So please share with us how was your coming to America? What did you think of America? What was it when you got here?
Thank you all for having me and congratulations to this ongoing success.
Thank
Key to
you.
life is consistency. So you guys been consistent.
Yes.
So that's a testament to a good bundle of wonderful people coming together.
Thank
Um,
you.
You. Thank you.
as the Belmo Gita will say, she's a very good friend of mine. We know each other when, some of us barely had,
Way back.
brain there, right? It's a pleasure to always be there for one another.
Yeah.
Yeah, America is built on network. The more of it you have, the
Mm.
healthier of it you have. The the success that you are setting yourself up to. In Congolese idioms, we tend to say, lack money but have people.
That's true. Yeah.
Because lacking money can be a small moment,
Hmm.
but
I
having
like it.
people can be something that can go a long way.
Yep, that's true. Long lasting. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
All right. So how long have you been here, sir?
I got to US end of '96, December '96. So I was a couple of days far removed from the supposed what is it, like the weather thing they had back then, because we just missed the '96
But blizzard?
snowstorm.
Storm?
Oh, snowstorm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So we were a couple, days, far from that. So we missed it. We just heard of it.
Mhm.
I got here in December of '96. You hear of New York, you hear the big city, but my father had a dwelling in Flatland. So I came to America of the one you see in the movie, like suburban, home. And where is it quiet? Supposed to be in America where there's all the buildings. What's going on? It was a suburban, very quiet. We had a basketball things in front of the yard. That notion of American dream that I didn't anticipate. I just knew my father was there. I don't know what he was doing. But home, you can play basketball in front of your own yard. Very quiet because we came in wintertime, so trees were almost half dead. They're all sleeping. The leaves are, you have that hollow, quiet, you're hearing yourself walking sort of, momentum, because it's a suburban, very quiet.
Quiet,
You
yeah.
know, uh, and it was occasion for me. One thing I got addicted to right away was saving all the quarters because I'm learning about American, the money and going to store. Back then, I believe uh, uh, the Hershey's cost either 25 cents or 50 cents. So I was saving all the quarters there because just going to the corner store somewhere far
Get all
farther
the
there,
urges.
girl, all the Hershey's like chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. Just got to America. I gotta get gotta get all the chocolate in. Wonderful until we are children. You don't know, and then divorce hit our home. My father had to separate, from his African American wife. Suddenly, because I was the oldest among the two, other two children who were here. So he said, "I'm keeping you here. I'm sending because we came from Congo. Our dad is from Guinea, so he didn't want to send the other two during this divorce. He didn't want to send them, to Congo, back to Congo. We just came from there. He just spent like, over whatever $12,000 of airplane ticket to get his
Tickets,
children
yeah.
here, and suddenly the divorce is happening. He sent them to Guinea instead. But he kept me here. He said, because you are older, you have a little bit of a head above your shoulder to help me in this process of transition. He didn't speak all out, but I'm a Quinoa. I was born in Kinshasa. I came here at 15-year-old Quinoa is like a 27-year-old.
Yeah, you're a man.
Because things were so fast back home. From then, I was not really living that cultural shock. It was just like that pleasure, right? Oh, big home, you can eat whole chicken if you want. Things that you hear people do in America. So I could have done it. And then divorce had to stop all that, cold. So my dad sent the other two in Guinea, and he kept me here. Then I started to live on 56th Street and Broadway. This was my first cultural shock now, like the actual New York that you wanted to see, the actual in the midst of everything, buildings and skyscrapers and the hustle bustle of the city, the honkings of the cars, the yellow boxy taxi that you saw on movies.
It's in the movies, a Coming to America movie.
Because we have to know today is different, right? When we came, it literally matched the film that I was watching growing
True
up.
story.
So '96 is really that trajectory where, as you enter '97, going towards '98, because I was almost graduating around '98, '99 in high school. That's when you start to get the puffy Lincoln, like a little more puffed up car.
Yeah.
Before that, everything was, straight up boxy, like nice and
Boxy.
straight. So I witnessed the America that I saw on movies. So I'm accumulating all these things, but I'm in the midst of bliss because I'm like in the middle. I'm on 56th Street. Oh, bro, I don't know who lives there, who doesn't live there, but all I know, I'm very privileged because I'm in the middle of everything, right?
Yeah.
And Central Park was just a couple blocks away. I'm feeling now incremented because I'm able to come from school, go to Central Park, take a rollerblader, go roller skating, all the nines, and witnessing how in America, actually, I witnessed the first thing how construction is constant. So I think from me coming in '96 to now, I've witnessed probably 3,500 buildings being built.
Built,
So it's
that's true.
constant. So it's like you're seeing all that phenomenon going. But the first cultural shock, believe it or not,
What
you
is it?
ready?
Mm.
Me coming from Congo just a month ago, because in Congo people get up, even if you're not friendly with anybody, you hear like, bonjour, good morning, hello, how
Mm.
are you doing? How was everything? How was you last night? How like you hear
Mm.
this thing just and then you expect that same routine where the sun rises here and it goes, it become hot in the middle, and then it lays
Mm.
down there. And all that 9 year routine and the people and after the name was everybody in the avenue. I got on 56th Street, catch an elevator with people, nobody say hello. I'm looking, I'm like, and something about the building, I was living in apartment 7, J, but you come out, it feels almost like the best film that explained that what I was feeling is Lost in Translation. Because you
Mm.
come out the whole way, it's quiet, like nobody. And you get on the highway, you get on an elevator with people, everybody just stick and it's proper. I'm looking. I'm like, am I in the wrong place? I know I'm in the midst of Manhattan.
Yeah.
But I get it here. People are very so I learned quickly in America. Folks can yes salute, but the skepticism among folks is very high because that's how I read it. It's like so it's like and nobody's saying hi.
That's
You
weird
know,
because that's how I felt in France, though, not in America. I felt that in France. But in
no,
America,
but
I felt like people were all like, "Hey, how you doing?" That's so,
Gilda, you've lived when
yeah,
you came, you lived in a very vibrant mixed color
yes,
area.
that's true.
56th Street is very, that's
Yeah,
how I read it
upper
that way. It's
class,
very
yeah.
proper,
Hmm.
very, whatever. I don't know what social class that lived there. All I knew when we got into the elevator, nobody said hello to each
Yeah,
other. But that changed quickly because that's January of '97.
mm,
After moving there, and on May of '97, my dad had an apartment where we grew up. Uh,
mm.
we call it Harlem, but it's mostly the Washington Heights.
Right, yeah.
So over there, once I got to 150th Borough, Amsterdam, it was almost like Kinshasa is hating me back because everybody's like, hey, how you doing? So that's the same, that's the vibe you
That's where
felt.
I was. That's true. That's where I
Uh-huh.
ended in New
So
York.
you
Yeah.
were in you're inward, if I remember, where you guys live.
Yes, yeah.
Inward had everybody, but it had the Latin
I know you had the Puerto
vibration.
Rican, Dominican, it
Yeah.
was party every day. I mean, it was just awesome. I
So
loved it.
you getting a hello right away, that's really me getting the culture shock
I get
of
it.
meaning.
Yeah.
So that was
Uh-huh.
my first culture shock, and then from there we move uptown, where we stayed, where I grew most of my time. So that's the beginning of my New York story. From that, at least what I got to what being in Midtown or that area it gave me access to like true New York, right? Because I
Hmm.
was going to school on 18th Street, so it's only like a couple of minutes away, 15 minutes on the train or 10 minutes, and
Hmm.
then get back. You have Central Park back in those days, or what you call Hollywood. Planet Hollywood used to be on
Hollywood,
57th
yeah,
Street.
that's
So
where I was.
57th Street used to be a little more movemented,
Hmm.
back then. Today is a little more dormant,
Hmm.
So I got things to do. I came in the month. I got on a Fila sneakers because Fila was just big. So it's like I had everywhere I go, I look for. So I was saving all my small dollars just to buy me my
I
first
feel that.
Fila.
Oh my God, the way things happened before.
And I got me my first Fila, and I couldn't wait to take photos of those. Back then you buy the camera,
Yeah, the
you know,
Polaroid thing. Yeah.
yeah, you take a photo. And then actually, when I went back home for the first time, I just went back home recently, and I found those photos,
Oh,
of the
really?
of the World Trade Center. You know,
I'm in
it went,
America.
yeah, because I had to take those photos to send it to them, like
Yeah, so they know you're here.
because back then postcard was really really the thing. So if it's
Yeah.
not a
That's
post,
true.
because people can come here when they go home, you're making post, card for everybody.
Hmm.
The New York picture was big. It was big. I remember receiving one from my dad. I was like, wow, this thing you carry everywhere. You can
Why
perfume it if you
it's
want.
living the dream.
Yeah.
Perfume it.
Perfume
I
it, take it
remember
anywhere.
that. So when you
because these.
came here, did you speak
Mhm.
English when you came here from Congo?
I'll say yes or no. I know about English.
Mm.
I know about English because in Congo, the way life works, Africans are big dreamers, right? Everything is spoken in terms of dream, like a future, like we're gonna go. That's why you see religion gets us very easily, right? You're gonna go to heaven. There's a promise of the future. So my dad being in America, there was already a future that says you're going to
Going
go to
there.
America. So I became like the the person among my peers who has the right somewhere to go learn English somewhere. So it's in primary school, when I was wrapping up primary school by 1991, 1992, nobody sent me, like, because I like networking. I like, friends. On those age, my friends are always older than me. So one used to teach at the Wise Center. They call it the Wise Center. The Wise Center. So I
Yeah.
went there on my own to learn, a couple, English phrase, and I started to practice a little bit of English, but you didn't really learn because there's nobody for you to practice. But I knew a thing or two. When I got here, I had to start over.
Yeah. So did it match the English you learned there when you got here? Did you feel like you learned something, or did you have to like?
I had enough remain in me that I could say, I'm fine. What about you?
That's a lot.
Yeah. That's why I mean, the sister who received me at her home, the Jamaican sister, Doreen, Doreen, shout out to you. She's a Jamaican. So I was living with the Jamaican. On 56th Street, they were Jamaican. So they'll take me to their party. And I remember going in Brooklyn in this party in 97. In those days, Lauren Hill they just, I think the Fuji just
Yeah,
came
the
out with that
Fugees
song.
were hot.
It was very
Yes.
nice. In those days, who was popular among Jamaican musicians? Uh, uh, so it's funny. The
Was
song is
it
too
like
funny.
Murder
The
She Wrote? What is his name? Shabba Ranks and stuff like that.
Shabba Ranks, that
Was
we
it
ran with it
before?
already back home. Back home, we
Okay.
already had the Shabba Ranks
That's
thing. It
true.
was still big. But the song, if I say it to you guys, it'll be funny because I think we have a job, we have a job, like that was the songs of those days, and in going there in the party with them, as I was trying to learn my English, trying to have that freedom of practicing, somebody would talk to me and say, I'll be like, I don't speak English. He's like, what you mean you don't speak
You
English?
do, yeah.
You say I don't speak English. People who don't speak English, they be saying me don't speak English. You're like, I don't speak English.
You're doing it correctly. That's funny.
Yeah.
I think you
You
told me
speak
that too. When I think
Yeah.
one time when I just arrived, I think I say, "Oh, I don't," and then you say, "But you are," because you actually
Yeah.
conjugated
Correctly.
the thing
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
instead of
So
saying no English.
I said to you what was said to me. Like,
Yes,
I don't
true,
speak English.
true
You're,
story.
casually saying a verb correctly, and then you're making somebody believe that you don't speak the language.
True, true.
So, those were the moments, you remember those days, from the boxy cars, from the music of that time, because I remember in my ears, I used to go to Sony Wonder. It was a place right on 56 and towards Madison and them. It used to be like where you'd see what Sony has as the latest technology. And then in the studio, they'll have, Celine John singing. So those days we used to have Virgin America store where you
Version,
go,
yeah.
you put
You
in,
listen to the CD.
headphones, you listen to what's going on. So Celine John was one of the artists. I think I met her too late. More, my friends knew about her in Congo. Me, I didn't know. The song. Yeah. That song was very popular.
The one I sing all the time, I think, when I do karaoke.
So I learned about that song late, and I was already on my way to America. So I learned about this young lady names, back then, Celine Dion. So I used to, buy a lot of music, and back in there, what reminds me of '97 more than Break My Heart, I Don't See It.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So this is me in the midst of Manhattan, in the middle of Manhattan. I can roam down to Virgin America, so come back home like it was nothing. But the song "Break My Heart,"
yes.
say you love me again. That's the image and like of color of those days for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so nice.
So is that what got you, like, if we transition, unless you guys have other question about before, but if we transition into the music part of your life, like, are all those things about or were you already into music back home and then you just expanded it when you got here?
There's a multiplicity of things, right? I
Mm,
grew up in Kinshasa. My family has traditional music. When I
mm,
say traditional music, we had healers in the family,
mm,
on my mom's side, both our dad and our mom's side.
mhm,
So I grew up in homes where, the constant routine of traditional music involving drumming,
mm,
ceremonies, and
mm.
Kinshasa itself is a ceremonial place where outside, I grew up in
Yes,
Matonge, which is
mm.
like a hype
It's a
zone
party place.
before going into Lemba, where I spend the rest of my youth. So in
Mm,
Matonge, like even our family home, beside having traditional music in the backyard, the front of it was a bar at a certain
mm,
time. So at a
mm,
certain time, a certain music plays all the time. So you hear music
mm,
all the time.
mm,
And then I remember in 85, when I'm starting, preschool, on my way to school, it was a song that I heard, that the mom and them, they were dancing, it's called Yabo Koko, Yabo Koko.
mm,
And so I was trying to mimic the drum, and my mom said, "This is how you play it." It was not on top of the drum, it was just on the air, but because
mm,
she saw it. But there was always a drum somewhere in our home.
mm,
Like when I go to my grandmother on my mom's side, because my mom's sister, she's the one who inherited that healing tradition.
mm,
Uh, she's like the third sister. My mom is the fifth sister. So there's always a drum,
mm,
right? So if it is not being used for ceremony, I'll use it to practice. But my skills got honed beside Kinshasa itself being somewhere is very musical. You listen to music a lot. Like
mm,
people listen to music to save their lives. Like
mm,
you just listen to music. At home, we used to have those boombox, like
mm,
music was part of it. Like when you have those radio, you have to play music. So it
mm,
was
Yeah.
constant on TV, on everything. So it's like that, and we learned songs because Congo has stars. And so it's like when you grow up
mm.
in a country that has a lot of big names as far as African
Music,
culture is
yeah.
concerned, it's
Mm,
like you are groomed. Just like I see Jamaica, they know a bunch of songs all the time because they have big names out of the country.
mm,
Americans, same thing. These are very dominant country in terms of the music because they have a lot of stars.
mm.
So and then I was naturally a good dancer from a young age. So I'm one of those who discovered dance. You, you, you know how like somebody can know how to dance by four, it can make sense. Me, my dance had always made sense
Oh,
since I
wow.
was very young. I'm saying it to really note because you could tell somebody can have potential, but it's hard for a 4 or 3-year-old to really bring the feet and have a precision. For
Mm.
me, it was, dancing was always a
Natural.
language.
Yeah.
So I saw us, in my family, we have traditional music. All the best drummers used to come and play there. So these are
Yeah.
things you learn, you picked up along the way.
Mm,
But you also develop, because in my younger age, I dance hip hop more than I dance Congolese music. Because
mm,
I developed the love for hip hop like in '87
mm,
disco, going to that year, but I kept still listening, to
mm.
music. By listening to music, you start finding your way
Yeah.
along the way.
But the
Uh,
difference is that I feel like we all listen to music, right? But the difference that you basically you created a whole like sound and the Rumbian first. So you went further with that.
but
So
now, in music meets all of us in different forms, right?
mm,
So going back to '87, I believe it was '87 or '88, because it had to be like I had to be like a second grade or something.
mm.
I almost lost my walking, believe it or not,
Oh.
because I
You.
was I almost lost my feet, my ability to use my feet.
Mm,
Oh.
So I think it was, you know how we have a lot in Congo, a lot of malaria or things like that.
mm.
So I was supposed to be taking the quinine,
When I,
syringe,
Yeah.
but I think the nurse who did it, something went wrong. It went like I could feel something touch a vein certain way.
mm,
Mm.
By the time I was done, I couldn't stand up.
mm.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Was it the butt shot? Maybe she went into that sciatica nerve and who knows?
Yeah, so now you get into that really that's how I felt. It felt like
Yeah.
something touched like a vein, like it was a pain, like a excruciating pain that I lost my ability to like when she was, how they'll have you laying down when you are
Lay
young,
down. Mhm.
and by the time I couldn't stand up, I just went on the ground. I couldn't feel my feet.
My goodness.
Oh,
So
wow.
that episode was, that episode, what happened in that moment, as my mom trying her best to get me into the therapeutic session. So
Mm,
I was no longer going to school. I believe I found music in a different way on that moment because I took the 5 liter bottle of water or bottle of oil that we used to be used. It was empty. I think sitting at home, I started to play every song I could possibly hear. I heard from churches singing around. You know, when you go around, you have churches. Like I think that's where music really found me as a therapy because you go through that. You're not realizing the impact of what could have happened I came back my walking, but I had to go to therapy to relearn the strength
Learn how
of
to
my feet.
walk again.
Oh, wow.
You have even your friends or people who make fun. They don't know. They don't know what the parents are. But I think are going through. But I think that moment is I stay home. I don't know if I stay home for a month. I don't remember exactly, but I remember moments where listening to radio became different. Because it's right there close to you, and you start memorizing songs to singing it. But also music come to us because the elders before us, it's almost like Congo has like a pépinière. It has like a follow-up generation of musicians. Like everybody at a certain age, they have to go to the school, like when nobody's there to write up songs on board, and then the young one, we are watching them do it while they're practicing it. We practicing something vicariously at the same time. So I remember songs like "Mami Mami na kobonela yo, la nega to vesena kinga ina yo, abama kozeka mami agene wabio." Like I'm Baby Lee, who's a pastor now. Like their group when they were writing it, like I'm learning it there with them, and then you have songs in Congolese music that is every neighborhood sings those songs. Like when you come in to learn music, naturally, I don't know about today because things have changed, right? Naturally, everybody in Congolese music they know La Rosette. That song never came out. It's just songs that every neighbor is almost like a starting songs. It's almost like Negro spirituals for us, or like band, band of Cartier. And then another thing, traditional music is rampage. It's like you have bands that are known, but traditional bands like groups, like Congo used to have bands just like you. How would I exemplify it? Like we had bands everywhere. Every neighborhood has a group. So it's like there's always a sound that's coming back to you that you end up either singing what you heard or trying to mimic what you heard. So those mimicking becomes practice without you knowing. You know what I mean?
And so that how does the RumbianFunk birth, like let's say the sound? Can you
Well,
explain that? Yeah.
now the difference now, meeting music and having a vision in music is two different things, right? Some of us, because of our calling, maybe the way the calling was placed for me, maybe because randomly I was firstborn. Who knows? There's that need, for me to lead, to have a clarity, that need for me to derive some sense of vision and sharpness in thinking. I don't know if it comes from that I'm the firstborn of the fifth generation of my family on my mom's side. So I'm also the firstborn in my mom's. I came out of my mom before everyone. So I don't know. I look at things in vision, and then America became perfect for me because America is Anglophone, right? I was born in the Francophone aspect, where in Francophone areas, people believe everything is language. You communicate through language. Like somebody will be dancing like this. Actually, what they're doing is this inside. But the language, they develop a language, right? But if you ask half of them to explain to you, they don't, because they're thinking you just have to grab the language. But what America became good because Anglophone believe in concepts. You know what I mean? Like they believe in concept, because without concept, they cannot really get things clearly. So it's like you have one side language, one side concept. So if somebody like me who from the get-go is always sharpening vision, you you have the both words. So you have to start coming up, with concept that explains, this complex element that is in conduction, with each other. You know what I mean? So those explanations of clarifications, as I develop my pedagogy through my vision, and you started to even study Congolese music for what it is. So you started to notice while you're a musician, there's an intellectual side of you. That's the social science part of me, because in school I studied, criminal justice. The need to understand how culture as an element function within the framework of, mind. Like, I even define, if you read my bio, I say culture is like music, right? It's like notes. Notes are like culture. Culture moves based on a civilization, based on a historical movement, and it confines itself to where it can react. Music notes is like that too. You know what I mean? So by finding all these things too, my mind, Gilda, you remember when we were younger, I could talk for days because in my brain I'm just seeing concepts. You know what I mean? So I knew from the jump I would not just be a musician or just play, because I'm not just a musician. I was an educator. So and I had to clarify my concept. What is my touch? That's how you started to emerge now. All that I do today, I thank God, for the gift. But from 2002 to 2007, this is where most of the things that I do, it was written. Like I'll sit down for 4 hours thinking. That's how I came out with the lifelong project band, because life is a long project for the living. Project are the most mature activities. Life is full of activities. Like the cells have a bunch of activities, but the most mature activities are called project. Like a country is a project. So my band is lifelong project band, because life is a long project for the living.
So can I ask you? So okay, so you mentioned criminal justice. So I think we skipped a little piece of your history there. So when you came, what was that? So you went to school for criminal justice and
high school. I came in as a 15-year-old. High school. Like literally,
Yes.
I went to high school. Like literally, I live. Like I said, the difference coming here at 15, you are almost like you are 27 because of what you've already experienced in Congo, right? You experience hunger. Like I remember being hungry for 4 days. After 4 days, they give me bread. I couldn't lift it because my hand was shaking. Like I don't wish that to any other child in this world. You know what I mean? I experienced that, not because my parents wanted to keep me hungry, but because my stepdad was the only breadwinner. He went, to Angola to look, for diamonds. We have to stay with mom. These are things also that motivate me into my art to start using my skills as a way of surviving. I became, because I was a hip hop dancer, my young group, that's why I even sung a song. I have a song that I written for a friend named Gizi, who passed away. I didn't know. Gizi was young, just 3 years older than me, but he was my sponsor. He's the one who took his own money to take me to compete in this, American, hip hop dance back home. So music became also like a survival, because I could, as young as I was, I could come out with some money and give my mom, And as I came, I was in high school, but I was already a high schooler who long lived. I didn't want to talk about Jordans and this. So I started to wear Versace. They even started to call me Versace. Why? Because I'm a Congolese artist. That's what we do. You know what I mean? But I was still a 15, 16-year-old who had to navigate. Like, I had to learn that, okay, when these kids get together, they talk about sneakers and they have a lot of gang conflict. That's boring for me. You know what I mean? But I still had to navigate all that. Going to high school, by the time I, and finish it, then went to school. I went to John Jay. I first studied business school. I studied business administration back then. And I went to John Jay College for International Criminal Justice, where I also was. It was the time I ran for student president. It was also a time I was the president of the African Student Association. So it's like leadership always hunts me everywhere, for some reason. Because of it, my music cannot be positioned just as a musician. Like, because I was in church. The reason I play multiple instruments, because if there's a bassist missing, I'm gonna pick up a bass, learn it, fill that gap. Always filling something.
So how many instruments you play?
But guitar, bass. I say I'm only gonna play keys when I have my children. Maybe I'll have patience for keys then. I can play on there a little bit. But arranging music from just me, and I play a bunch of drums and things like that. Yeah. So that freedom that music provides is really, for me, starts from those. Like I don't do music for you guys to clap for me. I do it because there's that element of freedom that could change when you put in the context of the gospel, like praise the Lord, you know what I mean? But there's a context of also like that thing you guys see as music can move lives. Like it literally changed somebody from zero to, now financially speaking, because financial comes because of the different struggle we see. So you're trying to, overcome that. But music itself, that element, it comes to me that way. It comes to me as an element we could utilize to navigate meanings and then convert the most complex theories into the most simple terms that somebody can absorb. So I was like, oh, like these 1,500 books that I had to read for international criminal justice in 2 songs, I can explain all that concept and then make people get it. Then I have something powerful. So it's like those things, because of leadership, it's like leaders have to come with visions. So, and as I started to examine subconsciously, because not all examination is like an intellectual work. For me, I examine because when you engage things on the leadership part, there's that natural, automatic examination of things, the way it affects your community, the way it affects society. So I'll look at Papa Wemba and say, what is he doing? He's a Rumba Molo. And I started to see those who understood how you convert concept. That's why in African term they say international music. International music just means those who understand language and concept, how they work together, and bundle them into a meaning. So RumbianFunk was like that because first time I went to see Cuban play, a friend invited me to a Cuban concert. The Cubans were playing music. For the first time, I felt like I was nothing as a musician. Because not only they play, but it was at such a higher spiritual level that in such a high proficiency that I was like, man, I have to go back and start learning. You know what I mean? And it was naturally there. It was already like a Cuban friends that I met before. So seeing that band, it was the maestro Pedrito Martinez and a bunch of his friends when they used to be together before all of them break up. It was their band. I was like, man. And then, but I could hear us, like I could hear the Congo, So it's like, and then it started to become clear why Harlem was really where I wanted to build, because Harlem gives me all the African diaspora. I heard the Cuban, I heard myself. I said, oh, this is what my my Congolese people heard in the 30s and 40s, and then were able to hear themselves. No wonder Congolese music burst, because they felt like they can liberate themselves from what they forced them to listen by the Belgian. They heard things that was powerful, but that sounded like them. So it's the same thing for me now. I started to see, because I grew up in traditional music. I grew up in a city where contemporary music is played, and I grew up dancing hip hop. And as now an artist and a leader, I started to see where all of these things are related. That relationship there is really the beginning of RumbianFunk. That point where the trajectory meets is
How do you
really
say it again?
RumbianFunk, the Rumba within my funk.
RumbianFunk.
Yeah. So it's the Rumba within my funk. Also, why? Because it found me in a period when I was, thinking the philosophy, right? Like the 2002 to 2007. Everything I see, I'll go into like a 4 hours. I don't know if I was still conscious, maybe somebody came to my house. Maybe I was already like some sort of, I don't know, but it was a deep thought because I wanted to see these things, and on the other side, I was also studying international criminal justice. So it's like the intellectual document or maneuver pushes you also into a sort of meditation, right? As you go through this phase and you're examining your music, it becomes this meditation of you seeing these things as if they walk. It's like, oh, wow. So Rumba came to Congo, and Congolese heard himself, and he burst a whole movement of Congolese Rumba, that exists today, because it's just people who were oppressed by colonialism were able to feel like, they also matter. These are what this music do, like because in Congo they used based on the story we hear, the Belgian used to tell them when to listen to music, when to sleep. Like they have big speakers everywhere say, "Bo la la," like it's time to sleep. That's how much they wanted to, colonization. They came to your own home. They made you a zero-class citizen. So when by means of business, music started to come from the popular music that the Cuban was doing, started to enter Congo. Congolese started to hear things that sound like them, but it's coming out through these same white people. You know what I mean? So they were able to find themselves in it. So it liberated them to say, like, I don't have to listen to that one. I listen to this, but it sounds like me, and I'm able to sing it too. So same thing for me. If you listen to Cuban music, as much advanced as they are, but it protect and beautify one thing: the African drum and the African instrument. Like Cubans are among the most advanced musicians like you could be next to, just naturally when it comes to technique. But they were able to preserve. It's almost like you heard your own ancestor 400 years later, but kept that same language going.
That's interesting.
So these are the things that I started to hear. And then funk, why? Because funk was one that movement. Like it's like for me, it's like the last music made in the world. Because everything else after the 70s with the funk, it became all electronic. You know what I mean? So everything else was, but funk is like that one last natural music. And then the relationship to funk is find me on the one. If you get lost, just find me on that one. Like you can find me on the one too. So we can find each other on the one. So with the Cuban, they have in the one, but they kept the syncopated part of their African tradition. In America, that disappeared a little because of how they were oppressed, right? So the same cat from Africa is still in Cuba. Cat. The same thing in America had to disappear a little more. Cat, one, cat. So it's actually RumbianFunk is telling a story of a trajectory of the Black people or the people of African descent in the fullness. Because now me, the RumbianFunk is interesting because I see how the Rumba part keeps the 6A. Like you can hear the tradition. The funk part gives that modern pop. But then between the two and the African Congolese tradition, you are able to make a music that sounds like infinity. Because they're like, it's like a mother playing with her children. So RumbianFunk is the Afro diaspora, ways of reliberating ourselves and reconnecting. That's what RumbianFunk is.
So tell us what you do day to day. Do you perform? Do you teach? Compose music? Like, tell us your general day to day.
My favorite thing to do is to think first, right?
To think.
So I try my best for anything in this life not to ruin my capacity to think. If I feel like I have I'm stressed or I'm having a headache, I'll pray against that because it's going to ruin my ability to think. Yes, I like to think. It's one of the favorite exercises that I have. Just think. Wow, and I like to people watch. If I get occasion to, but a lot of time as we come of age, we are, at least in my case, I'm mainly inside resolving problems on the technical side. Like I slept at 6 a.m. yesterday, today, to wake up again at 10 to go teach because what? Budget are due for the cultural affairs of New York. You know what I mean? We have an organization, Congo Youth Coalition. We got to get the cultural budget, possibly, to kick in. So it's like you're doing all these things, and eventually we're going to leave it to our youth to do it. But, resolving technical stuff, thinking of, what are ways, culture to relate? What are some of the music, that can come in to be part of the conversation? Besides that, and I also like to stay quiet because you could tell, like, if I like to talk, I balance it by being alone, nobody there, and just be quiet.
Okay, so you get to perform and get to teach. You're teaching young kids, older people how to play drums, instrument.
Well, yeah, even the teaching is dynamic. I'm still performing. Like we said, each year contract can start a bit slow, and then it picks up, right? Like this year already, we had a lot of private events. When you build a name for yourself, in the way you are involved in the community is no longer linear. It's no longer this bar needs you. I don't really put priorities to go play in the bar. But it'll be probably like this private event or this, government to this or that. I recently got the United Nations Ambassador for Peace.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
Oh,
thank,
nice.
That's
thank,
good.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
thank you. You
That's
know,
really
things
good.
of that sort. What it comes into, put an emphasis on how we are making culture as the central element. And yeah, in teaching, I've been teaching since 2000. Teaching just on the side, just because it's something is the
Mhm.
second nature to me.
Mhm.
2002, but in my lifetime, even at church from the 90s, I've always
Mhm.
trained the youngster who wanted
Mhm.
to pick up. So even today in my church in Harlem, I don't go much, but I've
Mhm.
trained a new generation of people who play.
Yeah.
I don't have to
That's
be
a
there.
funny story. Back in
Hmm.
the day, when I was participating in a pageant just for fun of it, and I
Oh
needed
yeah,
a talent.
and you will
You
miss you
remember?
that miss you that. Yeah, wow.
And I needed a talent, and I was like, well, I don't want to do the dancing like everybody else. So I called my dear friend and I said, can you teach me how to play the drum?
And
And
then
that
you
was your
did it.
talent.
Yes,
Yeah.
but we
That's
did it, but it
amazing.
was, I could have got better at it, but it was just in a few days. So he was trying his best to teach me, and I got up, and I'm just tapping everywhere. I'm like, but somehow
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
I won the pageant. So
that's
hey,
so fun.
So you don't need to go on the interview as well. She has a story to tell. Now
right.
you dig that. I remember. Wow, look at
Yes,
that.
you did.
Miss Ginger. Wow. I
Yeah,
remember
for sure.
too. And we
Yeah.
and we won.
Yeah, we did. See, we brought it back
I'm
to
the
New York.
I'm the friend of the miss. Like
Exactly. Oh,
yeah.
good old times.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
but he's very like I think it's interesting to see the way he speaks. That's how I know him for all his life. Like he's very passionate and very ambitious, and when he loves something, he loves hard, right? And I remember even in New York, if we go out to movies or just walk around, he'll have his guitar and he'll be playing. I'm like, somebody's gonna start giving us money, thinking we're asking for money here, but he loved
I
the music.
but those were the days, right? I mean, this
Yes.
must be like end of beginning of 2000, because when you're
2000,
learning
yes.
guitar in the beginning, because I taught
Mhm,
myself guitar in
mhm,
2000. In the
mhm,
beginning, when you started teaching yourself, is the hardest instrument to let go.
mm.
Like like it's the hardest instrument to just know. Like it's almost like you out there. If I ever left the guitar and
Mhm.
wherever I was, it's almost like I have to get back quickly. I have to get back.
And-
Because I remember in early days, like it was hard. Like I had to take the guitar everywhere.
yeah, he was with it
Mm.
everywhere. I was like, my goodness.
Yeah. Ah,
Like your
wow.
baby, you take it everywhere with you.
I mean,
Yeah.
today, it has given back to me.
Yeah,
I've
see?
written
Yeah.
songs. I've arranged songs. See,
Yeah.
that's how God does it. Like you accumulate this different knowledge, and it becomes very useful. Because
Yeah.
imagine if I only kept myself as a drummer.
I
Even
know.
though I always, make music from my mouth, or I can give
Mm,
ideas. By
mm,
having to, have learned all these, string instruments, it helps today.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, that's
I
amazing.
know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
yes. No, I don't know. I feel like we're
Pretty
getting
cool.
closer to the end. So I think what's the question we usually ask is that work-life balance. Like you talked about being on
Yeah.
your own sometime, and sometime, like you like to be around people, but sometimes you be on your own. But what do you do for fun, let's say, outside of
When you're not
what you do
sleeping,
every day?
we're not sleeping at 6 a.m.
That's true.
Telling you. I'm telling you. Wow.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, fun is relative for me, to be frank.
Hmm.
For me, I came to conclusion. I like the smallest things. Like I'm satisfied with the smallest of all. Like back in the days, my pattern was I'll go in church with everyone. By the time church is finishing, I take myself to the movie alone. Like
Hmm.
my movie routine was alone. Today, I
Yeah.
can, I'm coming of age. I can barely finish a movie. Without sleeping.
Without sleeping.
Yeah. Because I only know how much I'm tired if I ever try to go to the movie theater today. Sometimes you don't know because you drink
Yeah.
all the coffee. But the fun things,
Yeah.
I like doing random things. But my best thing is cafes. If I find out
Mm.
a nice cafe where I can, have my experience of, sitting down, observing, studying, that's like, and then random
Thinking.
walk. Yeah, and thinking is,
Yes.
thinking has to be part of it for me.
Thinking.
Thinking is beautiful, because I can remove all the stress. I can logically perceive things inside of my thinking. And I have many scenarios. You
Mm.
know, oh, and I caught myself in a lot of mistakes because of my thinking.
Oh,
Be like, oh,
Good.
learn from it.
you're like, bro, like, that part, you could have, like, come on, like, yeah, like, and then I'll create a scenario where I was like,
Yeah.
where I'm wrong, and then, what would, and then I create a scenario if I was right, in what degree, and I will examine it, we really, okay, and you know what, that taught me to actually forgive myself.
It sounds like self-reflection.
Yeah,
Self-reflection.
I forgive myself. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I forgive
You're
myself all the
human,
time.
yeah. You're human.
But when people watching is a fun thing to do as well, because Union Square in New York City, and the window of it used to be a window of a Starbucks on okay, because I like to watch New York architectures as well. So that's why I was very pissed. I was in Paris. I wanted to go visit Paris during the day because I wanted to see the bricks, the different color of because everything I do, even when I choreograph, even when I make music, I focus on transitions. Because the most important element that people take for granted is transition. How you go from one moment, to the other. That speck, of friction of a second is really what tells a level of expertise somebody might possess in something, right? It's almost like even when you're reading somebody writing, the fanboys, like the sentencing that the words that come into transition the sentence is what guides the readers. So I focus a lot on transition. So New York, like, I have two things that makes me naturally high: is the sound of a good saxophone I'm just hearing, or me just watching New York buildings, like watching New York
too. So good.
Watching New York buildings and the transition, like the possess. And then New York is stressful because it has a lot of high level transitions, because from one end to another, good. So it's like, if you let that dance catch you, that's why I see people are stressed. Maybe they need to learn my thinking, because me, I look at New York, I look at this, I go so fast that New York becomes slow. Once you slow it down, you can anticipate all the transition like a musical, So that's why New York cannot stress me. I walk in my pace in New York. I can be a New Yorker, but I literally look at New York. So watching things, observing things becomes a fun thing, because what it does, it relieves me at least from my deeper thinking all the time, right? Because I'm able to, oh wow, that architecture is wow. Like, I mean, it feels like I'm thinking in that moment, but I'm actually indulging into the artistic element, and that is a bunch of relaxation for me in a way. And New York gives me that all the time.
Wow.
That's why maybe I'm not moving.
Yeah, it's hard to move out of New York. It's really, really hard.
I wanted to see Paris during the day to feel the same thing, but people came to pick me up. They came late, and they're thinking I want to see Paris at night. I live in New York. I don't need to see Paris at night.
I know. What does he have that New York does?
Yeah. I wanted to see the bricks and the colors of the green here, red there. That one is 250-year-old. Because I used to sit on that 57th Street Starbucks, and I'll watch the old and the new buildings. That transition. Oh wow! Somebody one day do that. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think I ever thought about it like that.
Human history right there, because an old building that is 200 years old in New York might not be more than 5 floors. In random Manhattan, when you see a building that's barely 3-4 floors, it tells you that it's been there for a long time. And suddenly you have this one who's like only 50-year-old. You see, because of the metallic or maybe the bricks, and then the newest one, like all the technology, that involvement. That right there, and I'm having good coffee, oh man.
I wonder, I would like to spend one day in your mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes things show up, like how would I study Papa Wemba? I didn't go to school to study Papa Wemba. But in his music style, how he's bringing it will come to me, and from conversation with the elders, and I will examine his style to know this is his angle, to make a difference between his and mine. You know what I mean? Because when you have vision, that's how people will study you. You know, when you don't have vision, it'll be hard.
Yeah.
True.
True.
Wow.
Yes.
Very
That's
interesting.
passion right there.
Yeah.
You've not had a musician before.
Yeah.
No. And I'm trying to think we're not listening to music the right way.
I know, right?
I'm just like,
Especially
there's
today.
so much that goes into it.
Yeah.
Especially today, we're using, podcasts, And by the way, I have a song called Hope in Phases.
It's a very nice song.
You guys
If
can,
that's okay with you, we'll put like your handles when we publish. Yeah, so for people that want to go and listen to it.
And today maybe we need to go back in the days where we buy boombox to listen to music, because we're not listening to music as much.
The same
But
way.
now, at least that's what the podcast is making sense. Is I find myself listening to podcasts more in a day than music. And then I like it sometimes because I tell myself I don't want to corrupt the way I make my music, because none of my songs sounds like, because I make them from different angle. Yes, of course, maybe by listening, by having other things in throughout your years, you pick up on things. But I like my idea to emerge from from really how I'm seeing it or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
That is interesting. I've never had that perspective for music.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, we just have about an hour, so it's unfortunate, but we're getting till the end of it.
I know.
Yeah, maybe one of these days so you can add more.
Yeah, definitely.
Tell us more.
Because I know we just tapped to maybe 4% of everything. I'm sure.
Where do you perform? Where do you perform?
Oh, I don't have where I perform, but I'm hired by different organizations for different reasons. As a matter of fact, I've been thinking of it because a lot of time I didn't want to perform in New York just in one place, because we are tend to be called local artists. That notion is very dangerous, for many of us who trying to make a music that had to set trends. You know what I mean? But I get it. But sometimes you have to nurture music somewhere where people can come and see you. But I refused that for a while. People wanna, they hear my music online, or if I'm performing somewhere is open and they know they can come. You know what I mean?
Maybe we'll have an event here and invite you to come perform.
That's what it is. Yeah.
There you go.
He's open. Yeah.
But I'm gonna go listen to Open
So
Faces. Right?
Hope in many
Hope
phases.
in phases.
In phases.
Hope in phases.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a song I wrote in 2009 because a friend was going through depression. He came where I was living. He told me, he said, "Bro, I was about to jump off the broken bridge."
Oh no.
I'm like, wow. First, I feel privileged because all my lifelong people sometimes come with certain secrets and tell me a certain moment. I don't know why, but it's like, I was like, I want to thank God for you for having this courage to share with me. But I wonder what's happening. As we were talking, I saw an angle in him as if it needed something that could make him valid. You know how every Congolese believe they are a musician even when they're not musician. So I grabbed my guitar as I'm talking to him. It's almost like it feels like we are composing together. I'm making him feel like he's a musician as well. So, and I started to ask him, hey, bro, like you wanted to do that because so happened. So, like at this moment, there's a kid in Congo who's trying to get the coconut out of it to eat and mix it with the dry yucca, just to hope that they're not hungry, like just to, because it's not gonna fill them, but so they can lie to the brain that they are eating something. I say, for that kid, what is his hope? And then the examination of it came. So hope comes to us in many forms. Like it's all hope, but it doesn't come to us in many. Like for him, the hope at that moment was somebody who could hear him. Because if for 2 seconds he had nobody to hear him,
could have jumped.
The next day, we had a wonderful young lady who was going, I believe, NYU with Colombia.
I
Very
heard that
smart.
story. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
she jumped off
She
the
jumps
like,
the bridge. Yeah.
and I remember I performed for Congo Friends of Congo event like a couple weeks before she did, and she came on that event and she danced when I was doing the performance. So it's like the guilt that I've you know, like
Yeah.
no, like I saw her last. I was like, what could I have said? Maybe I could have be like, hey sister, let's go have lunch or something. Maybe you could have it lead to a conversation that changed her mind. And now God gives me that privilege. Somebody comes where I was and expressed that, bro, I'm about to jump off the broken bridge. Like I had the thought today to go, and I'm still like it still lingers. So in that moment, as I took out my guitar, as we examining that, see, think of that kid who's in Congo right now, who don't know. Like I thought of me, like that 4 days that I was hungry back, like who didn't know. Like I was just a child. I don't know, I didn't know where the next meal will come. I said, but there's a bunch of them. There's one right now in Goma, in the midst, in that moment too, because the fire, the war was, the armed struggle was still very powerful. I make that distinction because, for those of us who study international criminal justice, terms are very specific. Right? War tend to be between two, nation, but these were, armed conflicts. Think about that woman who they've utilized, grape as a weapon of war, to have, like, and I had to give him scenario that was very, very gruesome, very, very close, to home, to get his open, his heart to open. And when I hold my guitar, the first rhythm that I play, that was what came. So I said, it is in you, it is in I, it is in who we are, it is hope. Hope comes in many phases, through many faces. Hope comes in many phases, through moment, experiences, and touch. Because he probably needed like a hug or just a conversation. Somebody else needs a hug, So it comes in, I had to start relating the different way, So since we recorded that 2013, and you know how music gets lost in studio, and eventually where I was able to recuperate. So the song is out to bless, the folks.
It's a great song. Yeah.
Wow.
Because go check it out.
Yeah.
All right, dear Kumu, thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, learned so much today.
Yep, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I will start thinking.
Yes.
And listening to music differently, huh?
Yeah. But it's a skill set, right? Because a lot of time when we think, because negative thoughts overtake human mind easily.
True.
Positivity, just like the Bible will say, is something you have to create. You have to declare. So in your thinking, you'll be cluster. The cluster bomb will be all, but the other voices that will come. No, me, I enjoy the moment I have to think because, God allowed it for me to write my vision out. So a lot of things that I do, is written out. Is written out. Not because I like to write everything, but that moment, like the vision was written. It was written.
It was meant to be.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Until next Friday.
Until next time.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
And upon arrival, I realized that my dad and my uncles and the friends who helped me get on the plane lied to me that someone will pick me up at the airport in Georgia, Hartfield, only to arrive and I sit there and I'm like, no one is coming to pick me up, I'm like, and damn me, I should have asked for a phone number, How did they know I'm coming, that being African, that, someone will pick me up, someone will be waiting for me. And I get there and no one is there. And then someone notices me who had come in the same plane with me. And he said, hey, dude, you're the one who had so many people at the airport and they caused commotion. I had like 2 vans of some very rowdy friends from the ghetto who took me to the airport, and they started a fight.
Oh,
Yes.